Welcome to the You Certify ISC2 CCSP Must Know Glossary Terms.
Term, Access Control List, ACL. Definition: an access control list, ACL, specifies which users or system processes have access to a specific object, such as an application or process, in addition to what operations they can perform.
Term, Administrative law. Definition: rules and regulations promulgated by executive branch agencies that implement many of the laws passed by Congress.
Term, Advanced Encryption Standard, AES. Definition: AES is a symmetric block type of cipher used to encrypt information. It is currently the standard for the U.S. government to protect sensitive and secret documents. Term, Amazon EC2. Definition: Amazon EC2 is a web service that provides scalable computing capacity in the cloud. It is an example of IaaS. Term, Annual Loss Expectancy, ALE. Definition: the amount an organization should expect to lose on an annual basis due to incidents. It is typically calculated by multiplying the annual rate of occurrence, ARO, by the single loss expectancy, SLE.
Term, Annual Rate of Occurrence, ARO. Definition: the annual rate of occurrence, ARO, of an event or security incident is how many times you could expect this event to occur in any given month period.
Term, Anonymization. Definition: anonymization is the act of permanently and completely removing personal identifiers from data, such as converting personally identifiable information, PII, into aggregated data.
Term, Apache Cloud Computing. Definition: an open-source cloud computing and infrastructure as a service (IaaS) platform developed to help IaaS make creating, deploying, and managing cloud services easier by providing a complete stack of features and components for cloud environments.
Term, API Gateway. Definition: a device that filters API traffic. It can be either a proxy or a specific part of your application stack that comes into play before data is processed. Additionally, it can implement access controls, rate limiting, logging, metrics, and security filtering. Term, Application Programming Interfaces, APIs. Definition: APIs are sets of routines, standards, protocols, and tools for building software applications to access a web-based software application or web tool. The two most widely used API formats are REST and SOAP.
Term, Application Security Management Process, ASMP. Definition: ISO IEC 270341 defines an ASMP used to manage and maintain application normative frameworks, ANFs. The ANSP is created in 5 steps: specifying the application requirements and environment, assessing application security risks, creating and maintaining the ANF, provisioning and operating the application, auditing the security of the application.
Term, Application Virtualization. Definition: application virtualization is a software technology that allows for the encapsulation of application software execution on an underlying operating system. Artificial intelligence, a term used to describe machine intelligence. AI tools are often used for modeling and analysis and can include learning and pattern recognition capabilities. Term, ASVS. Definition: the Application Security Verification Standard, ASVS, uses a 3-level rating system. It is an Open Web Application Security Project, OWASP, created standard that can be used as a metric, as guidance on how to secure applications, and as part of procurement processes to determine if applications are secure. Term, ATASM Threat Model. Definition: the architecture, threats, attack surfaces, and mitigation, ATASM Threat Model, focuses on the architecture of a system or environment, and then explores threats, attack surfaces, and mitigation methods based on the architectural understanding. Term, Auditability. Definition: auditability refers to something being in the state of readiness for auditing. In the context of cloud computing, it refers to the ability of an organization to obtain specific information regarding reporting and actions, controls, and processes.
Term: Australian Privacy Act of 1988. Definition: APA, enacted in 1988, is an Australian regulation detailing individual privacy safeguards. It includes laws and rules governing the collection, use, storage, and disclosure of personal information, as well as access to and correction of that information. Term: Authentication. Definition: The act of identifying or verifying the eligibility of a station, originator, or individual to access specific categories of information. Typically, it is a measure designed to protect against fraudulent transmissions by establishing the validity of a transmission, message, station, or originator. Term: Authorization. Definition: The granting of right of access to a user, program, or process. Term: Availability. Definition: Refers to the availability of services and/or data. It also represents one of the three legs of the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Term: Baselining. Definition: Baselining may include either defining the configuration standards for a system or software, or measuring network traffic or patterns in order to assess them for variances from the norm. Term: Big data. Definition: Big data is a term used to describe extremely large datasets used to reveal trends and otherwise undetectable patterns. Big data is often computationally analyzed using cloud infrastructure and applications due to their scalability and access to large datasets. Term: Blockchain. Definition: A list of records called blocks that are linked together using cryptography. Each block includes a hash of the previous block, a timestamp, and transaction or data records. Blockchains are used for cryptocurrency, supply chain management, document tracing, and many other uses. Term: Business Continuity and Disaster Recovery, BCDR. Definition: BC and DR are strategies designed to assist organizations in recovering from activities that disrupt normal functions, such as sales and manufacturing. They can cover both short-term and long-term strategies. Additionally, the BIA influences the BC and DR in guiding the building of the BC strategy. Term: Business Impact Analysis, BIA. Definition: An exercise that determines the impact of losing the support of any resource, availability, to an organization, establishes the escalation of that loss over time, identifies the minimum resources needed to recover, and prioritizes the recovery of processes and supporting systems. Term: Case law. Definition: A body of law consisting of previous decisions made by the courts that may guide future decisions by the same and inferior courts. Term: Central Processing Unit, CPU. Definition: A CPU is the core brain of any computing system. It handles all of the basic I/O instructions as they originate from the software, whether it is in the form of an application or an operating system. Term: Chain of custody. Definition: The practice and methods of documenting control of evidence from the time it was collected until it is presented to the court. It must be thorough, exhaustive, and detailed, as well as accurate. Term: Change management. Definition: Process that defines how the organization will review, approve, and implement proposed changes to information systems in a manner that manages both cybersecurity and operational risk. Term: Cloud Access Security Broker, CASB. Definition: An on-premises or cloud-hosted system that controls access to cloud services. Term: Cloud Administrator. Definition: This individual is typically responsible for the implementation, monitoring, and maintenance of the cloud within the organization, or on behalf of an organization, acting as a third party. Term: Cloud App. Cloud Application. Definition: Short for a cloud application, a cloud app is the phrase used to describe a software application never installed on a local computer and only accessed via the Internet. Term: Cloud Application Architect. Definition:
typically responsible for adapting, porting, or deploying an application to a target cloud environment.
Term: Cloud Application Management for Platform, CAMP. Definition: a specification designed to ease the management of applications, including packaging and deployment, across public and private cloud computing platforms.
Term: Cloud Application Telemetry. Definition: a term that collectively describes the rich information sources provided by some cloud services that organizations may include in their security monitoring efforts.
Term: Cloud Architect. Definition: a cloud architect will determine when and how a private cloud meets the policies and needs of an organization's strategic goals and contractual requirements from a technical perspective.
Term: Cloud Backup Service Provider. Definition: a third-party entity that manages and distributes remote, cloud-based data backup services and solutions to customers from a central data center.
Term: Cloud Backup Solutions. Definition: cloud backup solutions enable enterprises or individuals to store their data and computer files on the internet using a storage service provider, rather than storing the data locally on a physical disk, such as a hard drive or tape backup. Term: Cloud Backup. Definition: cloud backup or cloud computer backup refers to backing up data to a remote cloud-based server. As a form of cloud storage, cloud backup data is accessible from multiple distributed and connecting resources that a cloud comprises.
Term: Cloud Computing. Definition: cloud computing is a type of computing comparable to grid computing that relies on sharing computing resources rather than having local servers or personal devices to handle applications. Term: Cloud Customer. Definition: a company, individual, or other entity that hires the cloud provider to take care of their data. Term: Cloud Data Architect. Definition: ensures the various storage types and mechanisms utilized within the cloud environment meet and conform to the relevant SLAs, and that the storage components are functioning according to their specified requirements. Term: Cloud Database. Definition: a database accessible to clients from the cloud and delivered to users on demand via the internet.
Term: Cloud Developer. Definition: cloud developers focus on development for the cloud infrastructure itself. This role can vary from client tools or solutions engagements to system components. Although developers can operate independently or as part of a team, regular interactions with cloud administrators and security practitioners will be required for debugging, code reviews, and relevant security assessment remediation requirements. Term: Cloud Management. Definition: a term used to describe software and technologies designed for operating and monitoring the applications, data, and services residing in the cloud. Cloud management tools help to ensure a company's cloud computing-based resources are working optimally and properly interacting with users and other services. Term: Cloud Migration. Definition: the process of transitioning all or part of a company's data, applications, and services from on-site premises behind the firewall to the cloud. This enables information to be provided over the internet on an on-demand basis. Term: Cloud OS. Definition: a phrase frequently used in place of the Platform as a Service, PaaS, to denote an association with cloud computing. Term: Cloud Portability. Definition: the ability to move applications and associated data between one cloud provider and another, or between public and private cloud environments. Term: Cloud Provider. Definition: a service provider who offers customers storage or software solutions via a public network, usually the Internet. Term: Cloud Provisioning. Definition: a term used to describe the deployment of a company's cloud computing strategy, which typically first involves selecting which applications and services will reside in the public cloud and which will remain on-site behind the firewall or in the private cloud. Term: Cloud Security Alliance CSA Cloud Controls Matrix CCM. Definition: the Cloud Security Alliance Cloud Controls Matrix CCM provides the fundamental security principles that guide cloud vendors.
It is designed to assist prospective cloud customers in assessing the overall security risk of a cloud provider. Term: Cloud Security Alliance, CSA. Definition: the CSA is the world's leading organization dedicated to defining and raising awareness of best practices to help ensure a secure cloud computing environment. Term: Cloud Server Hosting. Definition: a type of hosting in which hosting services are available to customers on demand via the Internet. Rather than being provided by a single server or virtual server, multiple connected servers provide the hosting environment. Term: Cloud Services Broker. Definition: a third-party entity or company that looks to extend or enhance value to multiple customers of cloud-based services through relationships with multiple cloud service providers. It acts as a liaison between cloud service customers and cloud service providers, selecting the best provider for each customer and monitoring the services. Term: Cloud Storage. Definition: the storage of data online in the cloud, wherein a company's data is stored in and accessible from multiple distributed and connected resources that a cloud comprises. Term: Cloud Testing. Definition: a term used to describe load and performance testing conducted on the applications and services provided via cloud computing, particularly the capability to access these services in order to ensure optimal performance and scalability under a wide variety of conditions. Term: Common Criteria. Definition: the Common Criteria for Information Technology Security Evaluation, abbreviated as Common Criteria, or CC, is an international standard for computer security certification under ISO/IEC Standard 15408. It allows vendors to make certain security claims if their products meet the standard. Term: Common Law. Definition: a set of judicial precedents passed down as case law through many generations. Term: Community Cloud. Definition: a cloud infrastructure provisioned for the use of a specific community of organizations with shared concerns, e.g., mission, security requirements, policy, and compliance considerations. Term: Compute. Definition: as it applies to cloud computing, the term compute refers to the manipulation of some sort of data by a CPU and an associated application, such as a calculator performing multiplication on both a variable and an operand. Term: Confidentiality. Definition: refers to the concept of keeping secret information from anyone other than someone with authorized access. Term: Configuration Management. Definition: the process of logging, auditing, and monitoring activities related to security controls and security mechanisms over time. This data is then used to identify agents of change, whether objects, subjects, programs, communication pathways, or even the network itself. Term: Containerization, containers. Definition: a type of virtualization that provides applications with their required libraries, configuration files, and other components. Containers do not include an operating system, and containerization technologies run on underlying operating systems while providing application isolation. Term: Continuous Deployment CD. Definition: a development practice that rolls out tested changes into production automatically as soon as they have been tested. Term: Continuous Integration, CI. Definition: a development practice that checks code into a shared repository on a consistent, ongoing basis. Term: Continuous Monitoring. Definition: monitoring practice that uses automation to facilitate 24/7 monitoring of systems and networks. Term: Contracts. Definition: legally binding agreements between parties that they will exchange things of value with each other. Term: Control. Definition: controls act as mechanisms designed to restrict a list of possible actions to allowed or permitted actions. Term: Corporate Governance. Definition: describes the relationship between shareholders and other stakeholders in the organization versus the senior management of the corporation. Term: Criminal Law. Definition: a body of rules and statutes that defines conduct prohibited by the government and is set out to protect the safety and well-being of the public. Term: Cross-site scripting, XSS. Definition: XSS occurs when an application receives untrusted data and then sends it to a web browser without proper validation. This can allow attackers to execute scripts in the user's browser, hijack sessions, or perform other malicious behaviors. Term: crypto shredding, cryptographic erasure. Definition: the process of deliberately destroying encryption keys used to encrypt the data, rendering the data unreadable by anyone. Term: data loss prevention, DLP. Definition: describes the controls put in place by an organization to ensure that certain types of data, structured and unstructured, remain under organizational control in line with policies, standards, and procedures. Term: data masking. Definition: a method of creating a structurally similar but inauthentic version of an organization's data, typically used for purposes like software testing and user training. Term: database activity monitoring, DAM. Definition: a database security technology for monitoring and analyzing database activity that operates independently of the database management system, DBMS, and does not rely on any form of native, DBMS resident, auditing or native logs, such as trace or transaction logs. Term: degaussing. Definition: refers to the practice of using strong magnets for scrambling data on magnetic media, such as hard drives, tapes, or any other form of magnetic media. Term: demilitarized zone, DMZ. Definition: because of trustless network access and exposure to external attacks, a demilitarized zone isolates network elements, such as email servers, that would otherwise be vulnerable. Term: DevOps. Definition: the DevOps approach seeks to resolve issues of software development, quality assurance, and technology operations by bringing the three functions together in a single operational model. The word DevOps is a combination of development and operations, symbolizing that these functions must merge and cooperate to meet business requirements. DevSecOps. DevOps model that includes security as a core component. Term: digital rights management, DRM. Definition: focuses on security and encryption to prevent unauthorized copying and limits distribution to those who pay. Term: domain name system, DNS. Definition: a hierarchical distributed database that contains mappings of DNS domain names to various types of data, such as Internet Protocol, IP, addresses. DNS allows you to use friendly names, such as www.iscs2.org, as opposed to IP addresses in the location of computers and other resources on a TCP/IP-based network. Term: domain name system security extensions, DNSEC. Definition: a suite of extensions that adds security to the domain name system, DNS, protocol by enabling DNS response validation. Specifically, DNSEC provides origin authority, data integrity, and authenticated denial of existence. With DNSEC, the DNS protocol is much less susceptible to certain types of attacks, particularly DNS spoofing attacks. Term: DREAD. Definition: an outdated risk assessment model created by Microsoft, which uses damage, reproducibility, exploitability, affected users, and discoverability to assess threats. Term: dynamic application security testing, DAST. Definition: in application testing, DAST is a black box test in which the tool must discover individual execution paths. Unlike SAST, which analyzes code offline when the code is not running, DAST is used against applications in their running state. Term: e-discovery. Definition: refers to any process in which electronic data is sought, located, secured, and searched with the intent of using it as evidence in a civil or criminal legal case. Term: elliptical curve cryptography, ECC. Definition: an approach to public key cryptography using algebraic elliptic curves. ECC requires smaller keys compared to non-ECC cryptography to provide the same level of security as other forms of cryptography. Term: encryption key. Definition: a special mathematical code that allows encryption hardware or software to encode and then decipher an encrypted message. Term: encryption. Definition: an overt secret writing technique that uses a bidirectional algorithm in which humanly readable information, referred to as plaintext, is converted into humanly unintelligible information, referred to as ciphertext. Term: enterprise application. Definition: the term used to describe applications or software that a business would use to assist the organization in solving enterprise problems. Term: enterprise cloud backup. Definition: enterprise cloud backup solutions typically add essential features such as archiving and disaster recovery to cloud backup solutions. Term: enterprise DRM. Definition: an integration plan designed by Digital Equipment Corp. To provide an operation platform for multi-vendor environments. Term: enterprise risk management, ERM. Definition: the set of processes and structures used in managing risks in the enterprise. Term: ephemeral storage. Definition: this type of storage is relevant for IaaS instances and exists only as long as its instance is up. Swap files and other temporary storage needs are examples, all of which will terminate with the instance. Term: EPHI. Definition: a term used to describe electronic protected health information. Term: EU General Data Protection Regulation 2012. Definition: this regulation introduced many significant changes for data processors and controllers, such as the following: the concept of consent, transfers abroad, the right to be forgotten, establishment of the role of the data protection officer, access requests, home state regulation, increased sanctions. Term: Federal Information Security Modernization Act, FISMA. Definition: a piece of legislation that defines a comprehensive framework designed to protect U.S. government information, operations, and assets against natural or fabricated threats. Term: Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, FedRAMP. Definition: a government-wide program that provides a standardized approach to security assessment, authorization, and continuous monitoring for cloud products and services. Term: Federated Identity Management, FIM. Definition: an arrangement that can be made among multiple enterprises that allows subscribers to use the same identification data to obtain access to the networks of all enterprises in the group. Term: Federated Single Sign-On, SSO. Definition: SSO systems allow a single user authentication process across multiple IT systems or even organizations. SSO is a subset of federated identity management, as it relates only to authentication and technical interoperability. Thank you for watching Learn More with UCertify.